to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's the author of the poetry book Clouds on the Ground, no other than Miss Autumn Williams. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Autumn, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here. You do a great podcast. So,
Thank you.
I am the author of my chapbook Waves, and then my Kirkus praised #1 best-selling Amazon best-selling poetry book Clouds on the Ground. I write contemporary poetry that it's influenced by the chronic illness that I have, myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's more commonly called ME/CFS. But I write my poems in a way to be universal, so that way people can feel seen and heard in different life circumstances. So a lot of the difficulties that we have in life, they're permanent, and I feel that the validation of pain without any sort of telling people to just look on the bright side and move on is an important part of the work that I do when I'm sharing my poetry.
Miss Autumn Williams, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more best-selling books to come. And today, let's talk about the Clouds and Ground. Poems on Time, Loss, and Dreams is one of the best-selling book on Amazon, and congratulations. The
Thank you.
title Clouds on the Ground is beautifully evocative. What does this metaphor mean to you, and how does it weave through the entire collection?
Yeah. So clouds on the ground, the idea is clouds is something good, and hopefully you find it on the earth. So find it on the ground, or sometimes you have to wait for heaven for something better. Like if you have a chronic illness, you're waiting for healing. If there's no cure, or if you've lost a loved one, they're in heaven. So clouds on the ground is this idea of finding beauty in in your life right now, while also validating that sometimes we have to wait for things. But there's a story behind it. I, with my chronic illness, I had become bedbound. And with ME/CFS, there are times when you will just crash and go into what's called post exertional malaise, or PEM. And so I was in a crash, and I couldn't move, and it was painful, and light and noise was too much. So I was just laying there, and um, really learned how to imagine in these moments. And at the time, I was just so sick that I couldn't even imagine walking, and it was really frustrating. And I was trying to fall asleep, and I couldn't, and my usual, you know, um, visualizations weren't working. So I was trying to visualize flying to clouds, just to like have a soft place to just go rest. And I couldn't visualize that upward movement, and I just had this idea to visualize clouds resting on the ground, so I didn't have to move in my mind, and it worked really well. And I fell asleep, and that experience kind of stayed with me as a technique to use sometimes. And then when I started writing poetry, it it came out it stuck out in my mind, that experience, and I used clouds on the ground as the title for my book. I also wrote one of my poems is in the book is titled Clouds on the Ground, about that experience.
Interesting indeed. Miss Autumn, the book tackles three universal themes: time, loss, and dreams. How do these themes interact with each other in your poetry?
Yeah. So when you have a chronic illness, and I think when you're going through other trials in your life, time is a strange thing, and easy to write poetry about. But for me, time will go by really slowly when I'm feeling at my worst, and you can't do much. So it's going by slowly, but then it feels like it goes by really fast. because you can't keep up with regular life. So things go by and you didn't have enough strength to do it. So time because it becomes this weird state. So I write about that in the book. And then loss, obviously, loss of anything that you find important. I'll do metaphors of lost love or lost dreams, and looking and trying to find what you're looking for as, and I'm thinking about lost health, but to write it in a way that um, reaches out to other people. And then dreams in the book, there is both dreaming about your future, like, planning for the future, and then also just dreams in general. Dreaming, daydreaming to escape, dreaming. I wrote about dreams that I had. When you're sick, dreams can be a powerful escape, and I'll keep a dream journal just as a thing to do, and so they tie together. Just they explain what the book is about, really, and they're there to be sort of universal, to reach people what they're experiencing, to provide hope and comfort, um, but just validation and to be seen with whatever people are going through.
Which poem in the collection feels the most personal or vulnerable, and why was it important to include it?
I think the most vulnerable one actually was the Clouds on the Ground one, because I specifically wrote about the experience of not being able to move, where a lot of my poems are metaphors. So a lot of them I'm flying or walking, and that's not actually what I'm doing. But in the poem Clouds on the Ground, I talk about the experience where the title came from. So I think that one was the most vulnerable for me to put in the book, because it was very personal to me.
How do you use imagery of the natural world to explore these deeply internal human experiences?
Yeah, so I write about nature a lot in the book. Um, and I think, it's easy to use a sunrise as something hopeful, or, looking at the stars as daydreaming and reaching for something beyond. I like writing about rain as not a sad thing, but a hopeful thing. Um, yeah, I think for me, rain is very peaceful and calming, and gentle. So that becomes a metaphor for something good that maybe people aren't expecting. It's not a rain as in sad, rain as in happy. Um, but I think nature, it doesn't have to be poetry, but it really, it's there for all of us, whether we like poetry or whatever it is that we do. Um, it's very healing, and we can find something beyond ourselves as we're out in nature, or even just thinking about nature. That also is very healing. If you can't get outside, you can visualize it or look at pictures, or things like that. Um, but I think there's a lot of metaphors within nature itself of determination and hope and things like that, and sadness too.
Miss Autumn, let's talk about the creative process and craft. What is your process of distilling a complex emotions like grief or hope into concise form of poem?
Yeah. um I think sometimes people expect when you write a poem that you're really diving into the feelings and things that you want to write. And I think for me, I just sort of start writing, and then when I'm done, then I see, oh, this was about this. Like, I kind of have an idea of what I was going for, but then I can see the deeper meaning almost after I write it. So, but I do purposely put things in there, especially as I put together the book and I'm arranging things. I can see it, but sometimes, I just, something inspires me, you know, something out in nature or a feeling or a song, and I just start writing and what comes to mind, and then just I try and make it My poems are accessible, so they're simple, but they have a rhythm, sort of almost like a melody, but not quite. And they um, I try and make it sound nice. Use the right words and the words that I would use, where they might be more simple than another poet, but that's kind of how I talk. So deeper meaning, deeper ideas with simple language. And the other thing is, it's easier for me to write a simple poem because I'm sick, but also I think that's what I mean. I love complex poetry, but I think a lot of the time people are looking for something that is, especially if you have a chronic illness where reading is hard, that's just easy to read and go through, and then you get that meaning, you get that beauty or that validation quickly. So those are things that I try and put in my poetry as I'm writing.
Was there a specific event or period in your life that served as a primary catalyst for this collection?
Yes, becoming bedbound. So I've been sick for 11 years, and when I first became sick with ME/CFS, I was moderate, and that means I lost 50% of my regular functioning. But I still did regular life. I just rested a lot, and then I became bedbound, and that was really hard. And it was actually a year of being bedbound before I started writing poetry. But I remember I had gone through sort of a healing process with, therapy and, trying to accept things and trying to find new joys within my limitations. And I wrote a poem, and it was kind of hard actually, but I really liked it. And I remember looking it up. I'm like, can poetry be whatever I want? And I found out modern poetry, you can do whatever you want. So my early poems, they're just really fun. They're just whatever I wanted. And that just, it evolved into something, and I just kept writing. And it was fulfilling to be able to do something in bed. And I just kept going. And I was like, I could write a book. I could put together my poems in a book. Um, so my illness is the catalyst for why I started writing poetry.
Which poets or authors have most influenced your style and your courage to explore these heavy themes?
Yeah. Um, I really liked Emily Dickinson. Before I got into poetry, just, regular life, I would read some of her stuff here and there, and I liked it. And I think she must have influenced me over time, just nature poetry and things like that. As I got into poetry, as I was writing, there are a bunch of poets that I love now. But Rupi Kaur, she really paved the way for more accessible poetry on Instagram and things like that. And so I read her book, and it was really awesome to see how she could write something so beautiful with simple words, um, and just really, reach out and grab your heart like that. So she influenced me. Not a lot of our topics are the same, but definitely just inspiration. And I think some of the style is a little bit the same after I saw her work. She definitely influenced me. Um, and, there's a bunch of poets that are out there right now who are sharing their work. And I love reading poems. I love reading poetry and just gathering inspiration and learning. And it's awesome.
Awesome indeed. And Miss Adam, as an author of a poetry book, what are your short term and long term goals?
Yeah. Short term, I have been submitting my poems to poetry magazines and anthologies, and I've recently gotten my poems published in some of those, and that's been really exciting. So those are short term goals. Long term, I want to keep writing poetry books. What I learned when I was researching publishing a book was that if you don't have an audience, self publishing is great. So I self published, but eventually I'd like to get a publisher. So as I build my audience online through social media, my long term goal is to keep building that audience and eventually get a traditional publisher for at least one book, but I have more books planned and that I'm writing and things. So
Good luck to your goals, Miss Autumn, and looking forward for more success. And what
thank
will be
you.
your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
Do it. Definitely do it. Now is it's just the best time for publishing. There is so much help out there. You can learn about self publishing or you can learn about getting a traditional publisher. There is just so many classes and articles and help out there, and you can skip all that if you want to. You can just go straight to self publishing, and it's accessible because you don't have to have a lot of money to do it. You could do it for free if you really tried. They have print on demand books now. So you upload your book, and then as people order it, the factory will print it. So you don't have to spend thousands of dollars up front to get a bunch of books that you never know if will sell or not. And just it's becoming a lot more acceptable to have to be a self-published author, and people are realizing there are so many great books that are self-published, and a lot of authors, that's how they're getting their start right now, is self-publishing. It's changing, it's shifting. I mean, the gatekeepers with traditional publishing, they're still there, and that's still a great way to go. But if you don't want to wait for years to get your manuscript accepted, you can publish your book, and there's an audience out there. You can go on social media and find the people who would love your book. So if anyone's thinking of it, I recommend do it for sure.
Yes. And thank you for that advice, Miss Autumn. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
That influenced me.
Yes.
Yeah. So I really like Louisa May Alcott's The Inheritance. It's my favorite book, and it's her it's her first novel. So I love it. It's a great story. It's a light read. It's a fun read, satisfying ending, and I think it really helped me to just I don't know. I feel like with Clouds on the Ground, I was really scared to put it out there, but I just thought, this is my first book, and I think it's going to help people, and it felt like it needed to be published. And it was nice to go back on someone famous and see their first book and see their growth and just be like, I can do that too. Um, and it's a great book, so I recommend that if people are looking for a nice light read and some inspiration.
Inspiration indeed, and thank you for that recommended book, Miss Autumn. And having given these experiences as a permanent home in this book, how do you view them now?
How do I view my personal experiences that I put into my book? How do I view them now? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Interesting. Um, I mean, I went through some hard experiences and I'm still going through them now. There's no cure for what I have. But I was able to turn it into something, a book of poetry that people have reached out and said, hey, this helped me. And I think, that's really important to me. I've always wanted to help people, and getting sick, that was a thing that, I couldn't do what I used to do, and just readjusting to a different life. So I guess I look back on those experiences, and I don't know. I actually have this poem in the book itself that talks about how I actually wouldn't do it again. And looking back on it, I don't think I would do it again, but maybe I would. When I wrote the book, I was like, nope, I would not choose this. In the poem, I'm like, I wouldn't choose this. Like, I know that life experiences help us grow, and it's a human thing, but I wouldn't choose it. I don't know if I would choose it now. I don't think I would. I think I would ask for a different trial, but I'm glad that I am able to turn it into something that can help people. I wish it was something else that I could turn into helping people, but I mean, life is hard, and we are all given things that are just way too much for us. And I mean, that's part of why I want to help people and just be like, hey, this is hard, it sucks, and just sit with them in their pain. Sometimes you don't want someone to tell you to just be positive and move on and get over it. It's like sometimes you just need someone to just sit there with you and cry with you. And so that's kind of the idea of Clouds on the Ground too. So looking back, I'm grateful for it. Um, it's been a learning experience, and I'm grateful that I can help people.
Definitely. We are grateful if we help other people in their problems. Miss Autumn, how do you hope readers feeling isolated in their grief will take away from your words?
Comfort, feeling seen, feeling heard. I hope they can take that with them. That would be, and
Definitely.
it's important to me that people feel comfort. And when you feel comfort, that can be very healing.
Yes, definitely. And is there a particular poem you recommend as a straight point for someone new to poetry?
Any poet? Is that what you mean?
Yes, any that you want to recommend for a new guy want to to write a poem.
Okay. I don't have a specific poem, but there is a poet that I love, and she's on Instagram. She's Micro Poetry by Trisha, and she writes these short, simple poems that are amazing. They're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Like, I think she's beyond human. She's so talented. So if anyone wants to jump into poetry, I would recommend you check her out and read her poems. They're awesome.
They're awesome for sure. And Miss Autumn, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in each first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Autumn, if this collection is a clouds on the ground, what might this sky look like in the next project? What themes are you dreaming of exploring next?
Yeah, my next collection is sort of a continuation, whereas Clouds on the Ground is just sort of a beginning. Like, okay, something hard is happening to you. Let's rest in this. It's okay to hold still. My next one is about moving forward in a way like you're still in that trial, but you're moving forward. You're finding new things. Um, so that one, my working subtitle is um, poems on brokenness, moving forward, and hope. So just it's a continuation of the same themes, but um, my poems will have evolved a little bit, and the themes will change just a little bit, but more moving forward, more here's what we do now, as here's this hard thing, and life keeps going, and here's how we take a breath and keep on going.
Keep going indeed, Miss Autumn Williams. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Can you please invite our listeners to support your grounds on the clouds on the ground? Sorry.
Thank you so much.
So where do people can buy your book, Miss Autumn?
It's on Amazon right now.
Mhm.
And if they are interested in checking out my work, freechatbook.com is Waves. It's a short poetry book, and it's for free. And they can download that if they're interested.
Yes, yes, people love support Miss Autumn Williams, because if you support her, for sure more and more clouds on the ground will come. So, Miss Autumn, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Monica people, see you soon.